Hello everyone. Mm, I am making this short video for my core task 9. The core task 9 is about sharing childhood experiences with stuttering. So there are a lot of experience from childhood to till now with stuttering. If I start telling all this experiences, it will take much longer time. So yeah, share mm, the few experiences I will never forget. So let's start. And like mm, when you are too much worry about your stutter every day, when you are waking up, you are thinking that I need to face same kind of a situation throughout my day. So from that point of view, you are mm, you have so much of bad and good experiences. So let me start. uh, in childhood, I hardly remember mm, early days I had any fear or anxiety, but when I entered to the high school, I started realizing that all of a sudden I started fearing or having a lot of anxiety or pressure inside me in terms of responding roll calls or answering question to your teacher or reading a passage in a in a large group of students, because compared to your primary school, in your high school there are more than 50 students in a class. So and it continues in, I started bad habit of avoiding, and it's goes up and up. And in our school it was like up to class 8 there were only boys, but uh, from ninth class boys and girls are together. So um, as I started, you hardly talk to a girl. It's kind of a mindset that you may stutter more in front of girls. So when it used to be very necessary, I used to talk with them. Another time I used to avoid, so that I had to talk less with them. So so all of a sudden I started having those bad habits, avoidance. Like I hardly participated any discussion or any function. But though in those time the only thing that I used to participate, that was sports. In sport I never hesitated or stuttering had any impact. So and the most important thing, like in school up to 10th class, the roll call used to be once, like in the start of the class. But from class 12th or in colleges, every class used to have roll calls. So I started thinking like I need to face the same situation in each classes, like during this roll call was really tough. Like you are sitting very normal, and all of a sudden you have a lot of pressure and inside, and you are thinking now my arms will come. And even some situation I faced, like in class, some professor used to take the roll call in the beginning of the class, and some professor used to take the roll call at the end of the class. So if it is finished at the beginning, so I have no pressure throughout the class. But sometimes, like if the professor had to take at the end, from the beginning, instead of focusing on the class, I just thinking how to respond to the roll call at the end. That was terrible. And like up to college, like the same experience. Like mm, experience with roll calls, or yes, I had a lot of fear with phone calls. I remember like when like in that time we don't have much quality Android phone. We used to have a Nokia, that old phone, but I remember in my uncle house there was one a landline phone. So whenever it used to ring, I used to pretend myself, or I used to avoid such a way that I don't have to pick the call, and that was horrible. And even sometime to my private tutor, mm, I had to just ask that I have few doubts or I have few questions if I come at certain time. So that was really a hard task for me, but now I don't have that much of fear to talk in phone. And so up to college I had those things like fear with these roll calls, and even sometime in I used to have oral exams, so that was really tough. And I hardly participate in group discussion or in a function. So but most importantly, like I was self motivated, so even those situations were tough, um, it makes to feel that your confidence is very low, or you feel bad about yourself, but I used to forget, and again I used to focus on my study. mm, but and people used to react badly sometimes. Yes, I used to be feel bad or angry. Few of my friends who used to um, mm, make some comment, or like when you are a starter in a group of friends, they may put your nickname like Hakla, or in some common language. uh, but the most important thing, like the bad phase I passed through in stuttering was during my master studies, when I was in IIT Kanpur for my master. And, then only I started feeling insecure. I was insecure about myself. Like when you are in a group, like all of them are speaking very well, giving good presentations, kind of thing. You started feeling insecure about yourself, and you believing like you are not part of this group. Then my stuttering was become more worse. And at that time so one incident I remembered, like one professor used to be there. It's not like that I had such bad relation with him, but he used to put comments like during roll call. Like in some cases I used to respond very late, so he used to make fun out of me, like if you are working in a train or in a ship, like when you need to start the train or ship, so you need to give a signal, like you have to tell either start or kind of thing. So if you tell so late, how can it work? uh, like that he used to make fun, but at that time I was not that mature. But yeah, it used to make feel bad sometime, but it was okay. And when the last year of my masters, I was like I had to do a project, and that time was really worse. In a research group sometime you have to present your research work, and also I started worrying that at the end I need to defend my work. So those was like, instead of focusing on my study or what I am working or some interesting concepts, I was just worrying too much about my stuttering and how to how to deal with it. And even sometime I realized also that I am losing interest from my study. Even when sometime I used to read a new concept or new interesting topic, I am not getting any interest. Mm, so yeah, so those are the bad experience, I would say. There are many such experience, but these are the like extreme, and the most extreme, I would say, the day I defended or I presented my master thesis work. uh, Really, I practiced really hard for 2 3 days in my room. I practiced like anything, but I was too much worried, like how to present, not like what kind of question I may face. So when I presented, I was completely blank. I stuttered, but I don't know how bad I stuttered. But end of the presentation, they asked me few questions. I don't know. I answered right or wrong, but at the end of the day, I feel like a big burden, relief from a big burden. So that was really bad experience. And and after that, when I was like, I know that if I want to do PhD, this communication is very important, because in research you need to communicate well. You can't just do your research, because communicate to your lab member, communicate to your supervisor, or giving talks. So then, and even I started more worrying about my stuttering. So after MSc, when I was started giving interviews for PhD admission, mm, those few of the interviews went bad. I didn't get chance where uh, I wanted to get a chance, and then I stopped giving interviews, because it was a thought process was in my mind that same thing will happen, so I will not give interviews. But after few interviews, I joined to a place, and mm, at that time I got that book, self-help book by Malcolm Fraser, and from that book I got to know a lot about stammering, what are the mistake I'm doing, what are the bad behavior I have created by. But at that time also I was not aware like how to implement in practical life, or how to use those techniques. And still those habit of fear and avoidance is pulling me back. So even the first few years of first year of my PhD, I started giving presentations and started talking to a group, but still talking or giving presentation in a large group was very difficult. And then I got to know about this Tisha, and started um, I started talking with few ISA members, and yeah, so ISA has helped me a lot. And even the recently on incident happened, like after here in my university, the group I joined, my supervisor, like due to COVID restriction, I haven't had a chance to meet him or talk to him in person. But yesterday I went to his office and talked. Actually, before we were discussing only through online. So he used to tell that in some cases he had uh, difficulty to understand me. So when I met yesterday, I told him that yes, you may face difficulty at the beginning to understand me, but if you don't understand, you can ask me to repeat. But he then replied like he can understand much better in person than online discussion. And he was also sharing